Hello everyone, my name is Laini and today I will be presenting on the topic Disabilism and Ableism in Early Childhood Education. This presentation explores how ableism and disabilism shows in early learning settings and as educators how we can reflect, respond and create inclusive environments where every child feels like they belong. Let's begin by understanding what these terms really mean and why they matter in early childhood education. As you can see, in early childhood education, ableism and disabilism are connected forms of systemic discrimination that limit how children with disabilities can participate, learn, and feel a sense of belonging. Ableism is the belief that being non-disabled is normal and better, which leads to negative thinking about disability, low expectation, and the exclusion of disabled children. Disabilism refers to the barriers and unfair practices that stop children from joining in or disadvantage them of their disabilities. These beliefs often shows up in daily routines, language, and teachers' attitudes in a way that can be hard to notice but still cause harm. Allen and Covery explain that in the past, children with disabilities were often hidden away or kept separate. But over time, inclusive practices have been developed to support their learning and full participation. However, unconscious bias and old-fashioned ideas still influence how children are included today. Real inclusion means changing the environment, not the child, so that all children feel valued and supported. As you can see in this picture, disabilism is when children are excluded or treated unfairly because they are labeled as having disability. In early childhood settings, this can happen through policies, language, or educated attitudes that will limit what children are allowed to do. For example, a child might left out an activity because someone, maybe their teacher, assumes they can't participate due to their diagnosis. Disabilism is not caused by the child's ability itself, but how society and systems respond to that disability. These responses can create harmful experiences that lower children's confidence and sense of belonging. Educators play a key role in changing this. By recognizing these barriers and adjusting their attitudes, language, environment, they can help every child feel safe and included. Creating inclusive environments means supporting, not limiting, every child's ability to learn and participate. Inclusion is about recognizing strengths and adapting practices so that all children are welcome equally. Let's move to ableism. Ableism is a belief system that sees being non-disabled as normal or better. So, in early childhood settings, this thinking leads to environments that unintentionally exclude children with disabilities. For example, learning routines may only suit children who can still sit, listen quietly, or speak clearly. These expectations are often based on narrow ideas of what's typical, and they disadvantage children who learn or communicate differently. For a better understanding, let's watch this video.
What is ableism? Ableism is when an individual is excluded or treated differently because of a disability.
Ableism creates invisible barriers by assuming that children must fit into the program rather than adapting the program to fit the children. As educators, we must critically reflect on these assumptions to create truly inclusive environments. We must question these assumptions and value all children equally, regardless of their ability. Inclusion means creating flexible routines and spaces where all children can succeed. Let's see a few examples how disabilism can be affected in practice. I got these examples from the research article named Experiences of Unbelonging and Ableism in Early Learning and Childcare Sector in British Columbia. The authors are Alison J. Gerlach, Janet Newberry, and Tabitha Bochin. So, in this code, the parent explained how diagnosis changed how educators treated their child. Before the diagnosis, everything was fine, but afterward, the child was seen as a burden. This is disableism. The child hasn't changed, but the assumptions around the label lead to exclusion. As educators, we need to be aware of how quickly bias can affect our decisions. Labels don't tell the whole story. What matters is understanding each child's strengths, interests, and support their needs. That's all. Example shows disableism isn't about individuals' beliefs. It's built into systems. The parent says centers can legally refuse children with disabilities and it happens often. That's a big concern. Where policies allow exclusion, they send the message that some children don't belong. Inclusive education means more than being welcoming. It means actively creating systems and environments that everyone include. Next, we are going to see few examples how ableism can be affected in practice. I got these examples from same research article. In this code, a parent shares how autistic children are expected to pretend that bright lights don't affect their eyes. According to this article, if they express the discomfort, they are treated differently or labeled as oversensitive. This is a clear sign of ableism. The child's real needs are ignored to fit into a normal space. Instead of helping the child feel safe and included, the environment forces them to mask who they are. As educators, we should recognize how everyday settings can exclude and think about how to adjust lighting, sound, or routines to support different sensory needs. The second example shows a common issue. Children may be physically present in early learning settings but still excluded by the program. They are expected to follow routines made for normal children. That's not inclusion. If a child has to change themselves to fit in, the program isn't inclusive. Inclusive practice means building flexible routines that respect all children's learning styles. Also, their communication needs and interests as well. This starts by challenging ableist thinking and creating learning environments and adapt to children, not the other way around. So let's move to my personal critical reflection. As a future educator, I have been always believed that a child is not defined by their abilities or disabilities. Every child deserves to be seen, heard, and valued for who they are. But through this topic, I have come to understand that exclusion often isn't about the child's abilities. It's about how environments, routines, and the system are designed and how assumptions about what's normal can leave children out. It has made me reflect on my own thinking. For example, I used to assume children had to speak clearly or follow the group rules to be seen as successful. Now I can see that these expectations can sometimes from ableist thinking and they unintentionally exclude children who think, communicate, or behave differently. In my practice, I will make sure no child is excluded because of their abilities. So, I will design learning environments, activities, and curriculum plans that are inclusive from the start, where every child has the chance to participate, express themselves, and feel like they belong. Inclusion isn't something we achieve once and forget. It's an everyday practice of reflection, listening, and take actions. I now see my role as just as a teacher, but as someone who can challenge exclusion and help create truly inclusive early learning spaces. This is important topic, power of language. After reflecting on ableism and disableism, I have come to understand that language plays a powerful role in inclusion. Even small words can carry big meanings. For example, the phrase wheelchair bound suggests that someone is trapped or limited, but saying wheelchair user recognizes mobility as a strength. This example change shows respect and acknowledge the person's independence. Remember to use person first language. This inclusive language means using terms that value children for who they are, not what they can do. It also means avoiding medical or deficit based labels that separate children from their peers. There are a few examples. As educators, the way we speak influence how families, children, and colleagues see disability. By choosing respectful, inclusive language, we can help create a learning environment where all children feel seen, heard, and valued. So, the final part, conclusion. As educators, we are in a powerful position to shape how children experience belonging. Throughout this presentation, we have seen how ableism and disableism can show up in routines, language, and even policies. But we have also seen how these can be changed. Inclusion isn't a one-time fix. It's an ongoing commitment to reflect, to adapt, and to advocate. That means designing environments that supports every child, not just those who fit the expected mold. It means listening deeply to the children and families with lived experience. So the work starts with awareness, but it grows through action. Let's commit to belong and educators who challenge exclusion, use inclusive language, and create truly welcoming learning spaces for all the children.
Thank you.